Brenda, if we could just maybe bring back the poll results, and I'll just ask one person to comment from each of these. So, does your organization offer an MDF program to your partner? 68% do. I think this is pretty straightforward. We're probably more surprised at people not doing this, Brenda, but it might be early in their journey, but that's not a surprising result. Very common program. I think we can move on from that one, Brenda.
Okay, perfect. And with 17% about to start one this year, hopefully the webinar helped today.
Good. So what percentage of your eligible partners participate in your MDF programs? Kenneth, I might just get you to comment on this particular one here.
So what percentage of your eligible partners participate? So less than 25%. Sorry, I'm struggling to read. So less than 25%. Okay, yeah, I have it. Sorry, I was interpreting it wrong. Yeah, so I suppose, you know, you offer an MDF program, you really want everybody to participate. That's not a reality, but you know, you do want to get more than 75% realistically. And we see here from the results, people are not getting that. Yeah. That will generally come down to things like ease of doing business, making it very easy for the partner to interact. As Mimish said, going out there, partnering with the partners, involve them in the decision making, in what you're going to offer, run webinars, get them engaged, etc. So, you know, these are all, there's a lot of steps you can do to get partner buy-in, and it seems perverse to give them dollars to do things. So you would really think on the face of it, everybody would participate because they're getting dollars to do with what you want them to do.
Thanks, Kenneth. Brenda, next poll, please.
Okay.
So for those offering MDF programs, can you measure the program ROI? 39% say yes, 37% say no. Mimish, do you have a view on that? So, you know, less than 40% of people can actually measure the ROI. Does that surprise you, or is that what you would expect?
I'm not surprised. I think that, again, it's all planning, it's effort, it's really thinking through it end to end. You know, whenever you build your program, you've also got to think about from the tool itself, from, you know, each activity that a partner signs up for, that they're clear on what the ROI is and that you can capture that. But there's also the piece that comes outside of the tool, that this is where the ongoing engagement that you have with the partners through those business planning conversations, those joint marketing planning conversations can certainly help. I think you've got to really put some thought process in how you're going to capture the ROI and how you're going to report it. And I loved what Ryan said. Ryan said that Extreme's taken that extra step where they're validating it on their end, because, you know, you've got all sorts of types of partners that are going to give you all kinds of data. So I think it's important to be able to validate it as well.
Yeah, super point. Okay, Brenda, next one, please, and we'll see if there's anything. Are you able to measure board? We've got that one.
Okay.
Do you have the ability to offer the desired activity type? 67% yes. So again, Brenda, I think we can move on from this one. That's strong. Good. No surprise there. And what are the most challenging aspects? So time consuming, visibility of program, inability to measure program ROI. Ryan, I might leave the final word on this to you. Any particular surprises with this one? Inability to measure program ROI, top.
Yeah, I guess it would be that, and obviously, but that links also to visibility of program performance. I mean, you know, they're very closely linked, and if you take those together, that's you know, almost 60% of people experiencing issues with doing that. So I don't think anybody has a single you know, silver bullet, I think is the phrase. But you know, think about some of those ideas that we've talked about today of what's the best source of data. You know, who can provide that? How can you validate it? And don't make it too complicated for the partners. Don't try to measure too many things. That makes it complicated for them and for you as well.
Super. Brenda, I know we're up almost to the top of the hour, but we may allow just one or, you know, again, I'd probably skip this and just see if there's any burning questions that come in, Brenda, that you want to take. We'll ask for good grace for the panel for another 1 or 2 minutes. Any questions, Brenda, that you see burning that come in?
Yes, we have a couple of that come in. So this one is from Anchor. So Anchor says, in terms of activities, are all of them focused on lead generation, or are some of them specific to enhancing partner infrastructure as well?
It's not all, maybe I jump in, it's not all lead generation. We look at, what can we do from a business development perspective. We look at enabling, partner enablement as well. So, you think about sales kickoffs, there's sales conferences, there's all sorts of things of that. We try to kind of expand it into a full end-to-end spectrum, but yet keeping it simple, right? Driving demand is generally the top thing that people try to spend MDF, but I think there's other things as well that you need to factor. It's what behaviors do you want out of your partners? You need to think about that. Is it worth investing in, and what does that mean in terms of return for you as a company? So I think you can build that in the way that makes sense for what you expect to get out of your investments.
Okay, thanks, Mimish. Another question here. What are your thoughts on larger reseller partners who have a pay-to-play model? Do you fund their minimum ask to be able to co-market with them?
Yeah, we've got some examples of that, definitely, particularly in Americas, of course, where really some really big players over there. So, yes, there is an element of that. We were able, I think, probably 18 months or so ago, to actually move one of those into a proposal-based program away from an accrual model. I mean, in practice, they essentially get the same as they used to get under the accrual model, but we are signed into their marketing program. But it just means that we've got a higher level of insight with it now. So there are more eyes looking at what we're getting for that investment than there were previously. When it was an accrual, people just said, well, it's a contract, we have to pay that. Whereas now we've changed that agreement on the back end. So even in practice, they get the same amount of money. There are more people looking at it and saying, right, what are we actually getting here, and what's the business that we're seeing coming out of it?
Okay, thanks, Ryan. And I'll just pop in one more question because I know we're over. So this one is from Owen, and Owen says, when you are working with two-tiered distribution, are you providing MDF programs via the Ingrams of the world or all direct with partners? Which is the most effective method on effective MDF spend?
Let's say, Ryan, I don't know if we're more tied to a VAR model in Americas. If you want to comment on that, I have my opinion, but I wonder if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit to how it works at Extreme. I'm not sure if it's exactly what the person asking the question was intending, but when we talk about distributor MDF, we've sort of got two ways that can be used, and one of them is by the distributor, by the Ingrams or the Westcons or whoever, use that themselves for their own purposes to generate business with partners. The other thing they can do is effectively a pass-through to what we call authorized partners, so like the base level partners or the partners we're trying to set up. So that would generally be an agreement between the distributor and the distribution marketing manager as to the percentage of how much is actually going to the Ingram or the Westcon themselves for their own activities versus how much is being a pass-through to smaller partners who we want to maybe try and onboard or boost the boost activities with. So yeah, we do support both.
And I would second that, Ryan. We do have the pass-through model, but we also do invest directly with some of the larger distributors, kind of in a pay-to-play model, right? There's that piece, and then there's the pass-through to the resellers, so that there's a focus there as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can measure both, even with the pass-through. I guess the worry is you become one step removed from where the money's actually going. But if we know and we're able to track who the partners are that's being spent with, then we can track that in our own systems as well.
Super, Brenda, and again, thanks for bringing those questions. But just want to close with a very sincere thanks to Mimish, Ryan, and Kenneth for sharing very real-world insights, very honest insights. And again, to all the people that signed up and registered, thanks again for your time, your input to the poll and the questions, and we'll make all the materials available, as Brenda said, on our website. And if anybody has any further questions, please contact Channel Mechanics. So have a great rest of the day, everybody, and thanks again.